Hey, this is Pure, and today I'm going to review the Ammoon AGE03. The official name is Compact 5-Channel Mic Line Mixer dash USB Audio Interface with built-in echo effect. So it looks like this. And when I got it from Lazada, it came in this box. So let me show that to you. This one. Okay. Now for this recording, I'm using the newer NW700. So it's a condenser microphone, and it's quite cheap. One of the cheaper kinds you'll see on Lazada. The mic itself would only cost like 700 to 800 pesos. And for Ammoon, the mixer slash USB interface, let me pull up the listing in Lazada, and you can see there that the price is 2,374. Now there are several sellers for this product, all overseas from China, and the price would range from 2.3 to 2.5. So it's a budget mixer, and that's why I'm testing with it also a budget microphone. Okay, so this is the mixer, and this is the microphone that I'm using. The cost there is like 1,161, but that includes the set. Includes the microphone, shock mount, the windscreen, the foam cap, which I don't have on right now, and an audio cable. Okay, so let me go back to my camera here. Okay, so as you can see, I do have a secondary camera. So here on the lower left side, my other webcam is lower in quality, so the resolution is a bit lower, but it's good enough for what we're going to do here. So in this recording, I'm using the mixer and the microphone. So it's the one being used for this recording. Now, first thing I'd like to go through would be some overall impressions of the product as I took it out of the box. First, the construction is all metal, so that's good, and it is stable when you put it on your desk, on your table. There is no wobble, which is a shortcoming of other mixers like the Behringer mixer, which I use. So that one is famously or notoriously has a wobble when you put it on your desk. In terms of the layout, it is quite similar to that other Behringer Xenix 302 USB. So you can also look that up in terms of what the features are. But for now, we're focusing on this AGE03 mixer. Now, it is both a mixer and an audio interface. And so, to simplify things, maybe we'll go through the audio interface part. Now, when you have an audio interface, it means that you can use it both as an output, meaning as speakers, and as an input, meaning you can use it for recording. Now, let's start with the, the simpler part of it. So as you can see here, we've got a stereo plug for your headphones. So the simplest use for this is that you plug it into your computer, you play something there, and you're able to hear it. So just like a sound card that you might have in your laptop or PC. So that's the easy part of it. So when you go to your sound settings, and let me switch now to my desktop so you can see that. So when you plug it in, it will be detected as a USB audio device. Now, I would typically always rename the device as soon as it is detected by Windows. In this case, as you can see here, I named it as AGE03 output, meaning the speakers. And then I also changed the icon, just something that is closer to what it actually looks like. For those who have multiple audio devices, as you can see here, it would be good to clearly identify them so you know which one you're actually using. So that's for the playback part of the interface. Now it's also used for recording, and as you know, like what we're doing right now. And here I named it as AGE03 input. And it's again, it's up to you. If you want to change the icon, feel free. But in this case, since it's a mixer, and then the output of the mixer is, you know, two channels, I use that icon. Okay. So let me go back to my camera here. Okay. So now, why is it called a 5-channel mixer? So what is a mixer anyway? So a mixer means that you've got multiple inputs, and then it's all mixed by the device, and then you will now have an output, which we call the main mix. So you can have things going in, and then it will all merge all of that, and then you've got your stereo output, the left and the right. Okay, so let's go through all 5 inputs. So why does it say that it has 5 inputs? So the first one would be this, where I have plugged in my microphone. So it takes in either an XLR cable, which is what I've got right now. That would be the 3-pin type, and it's connected to my microphone. So, and typically that would be what the cord that you'll be using when it's a condenser microphone. Now, it is a combo plug because, so you can see it because I've got my microphone plugged in. So I'll switch again to my desktop and show you here on the Lazada website that it has a center hole where you can plug in the 1/4 inch plug like this one. So let me see. So let me go back to my camera here. So you can either plug in an XLR or like this, a 1/4 inch plug. So other microphones would have that plug, like a dynamic microphone would typically have that plug, and then condenser microphones would typically have the XLR. So you can have 2 inputs here. You can also plug in an instrument if you want, because that would also have your 1/4 inch plug. Okay, so those would be your 2 inputs for this one. Now let's call that really line 1, but there are two ways of using it, A and B. So in this case, I've got a microphone plugged in. Now below it, you'd see the gain button. So this would increase or decrease the gain of whatever is the device plugged in for this combo jack. So right now I've got it in the middle, and I'll show you how the audio would change if I first reduce it. So I'll continue speaking with my normal voice, and you'll see it going down. And then I'll continue speaking again, going back to where we were before at 12 o'clock. And then I'll continue the same volume of speaking, but I'll now increase the gain at a higher level. As you can see here, the gain does increase, but you'll also hear a lot of the hiss will increase also. Now, whatever goes through this line, first you apply the gain, and then you have the option to make some modifications here. So in this case, the high, this increases the high the higher register of your voice, and then you can make it go up or go down. Let's put it back in the middle. Now this one in the middle is your low end. So for example, if you want your voice to be a bit more bass, then you can boost that, and then also you can bring it down. Okay, so let's bring it back to the middle. Now this one is panning, which means that by default, the input here will be showing up in both the left and right channels, but you can change that, so when you bring it up, then you should be hearing my voice on the left ear only, the left channel, and then when I bring it down, that brings it to the right channel. But if you put it back again in the middle, then that would be balanced between the left and the right. Now, something you might have already noticed while I was going through this, that the markings on this mixer are quite hard to read. The metal itself is like a very dark gray, but not quite black, and then the lettering, the markings are like a light shade of gray. So there's very little contrast, and you can't really see quickly what all the buttons and dials are for. So unlike, for example, in this packaging, it's white and black, so it's easier to read. But in the device itself, it is quite a challenge. So you would need some good lighting there to see exactly what each button is meant for. Now, after you've applied the gain and applied any changes here in the high, low, and panning, then this whole thing you can again increase or decrease in volume. So increase it here, that you should hear me a bit louder, and then softer if I turn it counterclockwise. So these are all the controls for this line. Well, I'm sorry, we do have this other thing. So it does have an echo effect button, this one, but I've set it to the minimum so that does not have any effect. And you'll see right now what happens if I try to boost it. So this is me enabling the echo effect, and it's not very good to hear, right? So it's not really useful for anything. It's not like a reverb that increases the sound stage of your voice. It's like a bad conference call where you're hearing someone with a delay and there's an echo. So I don't think this is useful really, so I've set it to 0. Okay. So now, these things will be applied to the inputs that you've got. Okay. So now, what would be the second input? So as you can see here, we've got a line in, and I've attached some RCA cables, and on the other end of it, I have here my iPhone. And similar to what we have in line 1, you can also increase or decrease the volume of whatever is going in here. So in this case, I've opened a guitar tool app, and I'll go through it right now. Whoops. Let me see. You're not hearing anything because there is another setting that you have to kind of figure out. Right below the echo dial, you see that you've got line/USB, meaning this button, this line in, can either be a line in from a physical connection of like what we've got here, in which case you want this button to be up. Okay, you want it to not be pressed, should be going up. And then we've got this second button, which would determine whether it's going through this device, meaning the input will go through the mixer, and that is the case if it is up, or it can be just going to your headphones and not being recorded, in which case you want it to be pressed and at the down position. Now this functionality is quite different with other mixers, where regardless of whether it's up or down, you should be able to hear it. But this mixer in particular, if you have it set to down, which is just the phones, then you'll be able to hear it but it will not be recorded. So in this case, I want to demo how it works with me playing something on my iPhone and then being recorded in this video that I'm doing. So I have it up, meaning it will take the input from line in, and then I have it this one as up as well, meaning it will go through the main mix. So when I strum this here, you should be able to hear sound being recorded, but I should let you know that I'm not hearing it myself. So this sound that you're hearing when I'm strumming this guitar on my virtual guitar on my iPhone, it only gets recorded, but I'm not hearing it. Now, if I then press this button on the right, so that it goes to my earphones, when I strum this, I'm able to hear it on my earphones, but it should now not be recorded on the video. So that's something you should be aware of in terms of knowing exactly where the signals are going when you are doing a recording. Okay? But regardless, wherever it's going, this is the button for controlling the volume of this second line in. So it's kind of a combo line in, right? It's either line in from the wires that you've connected through these RCA plugs, or line in coming from what's playing on the PC. So that's what we'll do next. So in this case, what I'll do is I'll go to YouTube and open up like a copyright-free music channel. And so what I'll do next is I'll have this now pressed down, meaning that whatever is played on the computer, which is through the USB connection, will now be going to the recording, which will be our main mix, which should be up. Okay, so again, we have it now pressed down for USB play, meaning it will take in the audio coming from the PC. Here I've got Guitar Pro running on my PC, and I've loaded up Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. Now when I play this, it should get recorded on my recording software, but I'm actually not hearing it because it's configured, the mixer is configured to go to main mix, but it's not going to my headphones, which is unfortunate because you would expect that with the monitor feature in the mixer, that everything that goes through the mixer you should be able to monitor, but that is not the case. On the second one, and now I'm able to hear the music coming from my PC, but it is not getting recorded. Okay, so just so you know how that works. So if you want what you're playing in your computer to be recorded, then you press this down so that it's USB play as the input, and this one should be up so that it is going into the main mix and will be recorded by your software. However, it's quite difficult to record something when you're not hearing it real time. That's the whole reason why you supposedly have a monitor function, right? You hear everything that's going through this device. Unfortunately, strangely, that is how this these settings, these buttons are configured to work. So you need to be aware of that. So now we've covered the four inputs, right? This one is an XLR/line in, the 1/4 inch type. This one, either RCA in or USB play. That's your 3 and 4. And now you've got the fifth input, which is it's marked as 2TK. Now this one, it will also receive an RCA input. So what I'll do now is I'll switch this plug and put it there in that fifth input. But for this one, the important thing to remember is that you have no way of modifying the audio there, be it the gain or say there's no high-low or panning control, and there is also no no control when it comes to the gain. So what you need to do is that it is the source, whatever is the source of that signal. Now in this case, let's use the same app I use, Guitar Toolkit. So if you need to increase the volume of whatever's feeding through this fifth channel, you have to make sure that it is being controlled here. So if you have to increase the volume, like what I'm doing now, it should be louder when you hear it. And then when I turn down the volume of my iPhone, then it should be a bit lower. When you have something plugged in to the fifth input, then you also have this button to use where it can either be set again to the main mix or the phones. So when it's pressed down, I can hear it on my headphones, but when it is not pressed and it's in the up position, when I make a sound on the source input, it gets recorded. So again, it's either or. Either that signal will go through the recording or it will go through your phones. So in this case, I'm making a sound, but it's not being recorded, right? So I prefer a mixer where all the inputs and that you can monitor them, okay? So be aware about how those audio signals are handled by the mixer. Okay. So this one, so what are the other buttons, dials here? This one's just the kind of the amplification, the gain of your headphones. So you can make it louder, but this doesn't make the signal of the output of your mixer louder. In terms of the recording, it just makes your monitoring louder or softer, right? So to the left, of course, softer, and then higher. You should not be able to see a difference in the audio in the recorded video, but it does make a difference for me in terms of how loud or soft my monitoring is of the signals coming into this device. Okay. Now all of that, if you have like all multiple sources plugged in there, it will all be going out to this main mix, and then you can output that to another system. For example, an input to say an amp, so that that signal can be amplified, or as an input to another audio interface. But in this case, we're using the USB feature where the main mix of the device get captured by what I showed you earlier in the audio settings, where we identified it as an audio input. So whatever is being processed by the mixer, I defined it as an input device on, in this case, OBS, which is what I'm using for recording, and that gets recorded. Okay. So other things I should mention here about this mixer is that it also has an input. Let me see if I can see that here. So it also has an input for a mic, which has the smaller plug, right? So for example, you can use your microphones, a headset with a microphone, and plug it in there. You can also use a lavalier mic and plug it in there. And whatever is the input here for this mic, let me again move this wire to the side. This mic plug in here, input plug. There, I'm not sure you can see it. Whatever gets plugged in here, you can also control it with these settings for line 1. So it's really the same thing. It's just an alternate plug for a microphone with a different plug size, but you can also modify the gain like what you did for the first line here, where I've got my XLR connected. So I think that the mixer. It's good overall given the price. It's only 2,300 pesos, but I would not recommend it for those, for example, if you want to play something on your computer that you can sing along with, and if you want both what you're playing, the music that you're playing, and your voice to be recorded, it's not going to work in this case because the option you've got is an either or, whether it's just either the what you're playing on your computer will go to the main mix or go to the phone. So but if it's going to the main mix and you cannot hear it, then it's impossible to sing along with it, right? But if you want to sing along with, say, a karaoke type video or audio, and you have it in a down position, then you can hear it, but the accompaniment or the backing track or the minus one that you're playing will not be recorded. So you'll only record your voice. That might be something that you would want to do, in which case you only have a recording of your voice, and maybe during post processing you can have the MP3 for what you're singing along with and just sync it up there. But if you want to for the two signals to be recorded at the same time, then unfortunately this is not going to do it. Okay. In term, I mentioned before, in terms of construction, it's fantastic. It's like a metal housing, but I'm not happy with these faders, these controls here. It's quite there's a bit of play on it, and it's too thin. It's like it seems to be flimsy for me, but it does work. It does the job, but it's not very the material there. It doesn't seem to be very durable. So you have to be careful, a bit careful when working with them. One thing is that it does have a power button, so that seems to be a trivial thing, right? But there are a lot of mixers out there where there is no power button, and as soon as you plug it in, it's working. So sometimes it's good if you want to disable the device without actually unplugging it. Then it is useful that you've got there your off button. Okay. So the other thing I've discovered here is that this microphone only works well with a condenser type microphone. And so I'll demonstrate that right now. If I plug in a dynamic microphone instead, which requires a bit more gain as compared to a condenser microphone, you have to dial this up really at a very high level for you to be audible. Okay, so now I've connected the Shure SV100 dynamic microphone. Let me just check if that's the right one I've got. Yes. So this is the Shure SV100 dynamic microphone. And now I'm bumping up the volume to almost maximum. So now as you can see here, this knob is almost at maximum just to get this level of volume. And you can compare it with what we had earlier, where the volume was louder even though it was only set at 12 o'clock. So if I put it back there at the same setting, it's like you can't hear anything. So so let me put it back. So you can't hear anything really if it's there at the middle. It has to be very close to the max just so you can get a decent volume from the dynamic microphone. Now, one problem with that is that I'm hearing a lot of the hissing at this gain setting. So I'll check later on whether that is also getting recorded. But I'm hearing it a lot louder compared to when I was using a condenser microphone where I didn't have to max out the gain just so I can have a decent microphone audio levels. Okay, so I would recommend this only with a condenser microphone. So let me go back to that one. So I'll again set the gain to 0 so that there's no popping sound. There. So I'm back to using my newer NW700 condenser microphone, and even with the settings at 12 o'clock, I'm getting decent levels, as I can see from my recording software. So that's one thing to consider. But I guess it, because it is a budget interface, it does work with budget microphones as well. That would typically be what you would be using it for, and so it's a good match. So again, let me show my desktop here. So this is the mixer slash audio interface, and here's the mic I'm using it with. So the combination of the two, you can have it for, like around 3,000 pesos. You already have a microphone and your mixer with audio interface. But for me, it's a really it's a deal breaker for me that I'm not able to hear the line in inputs and the USB play inputs along with my own voice. So I expect that in any mixer and audio interface, that whatever is going into it, I should be able to monitor. So I know what the output is of what's being recorded, the final product, right? That's what you want to monitor. But in this case, it doesn't work that way. It's fine if you're just recording one source and you want to have it not mixed with another input. And but if you want to record the music plus your, for example, if you're singing, then this is not going to work for you. One other problem with this is, for example, if you've got a meeting or an online meeting, right? Zoom, Skype, or say if you are running a podcast where you are interviewing someone. So what would be the settings there? So of course you want to supposedly get the audio from your computer, so you would press this one down, meaning USB play. But now, for you to hear what the other person is saying, this one has to be pressed down going to phone, right? So you can hear what's being said, and at the same time you're also hearing your voice. But if you record that, then you won't be able to record the other side. Because remember, it's pressed down, meaning it's going to phones. It's not going to the main mix, right? So if you press this up, then what's going to happen is the other side will be recorded, but you can't hear that person. So how can you have a conversation, right? So it's a problem. I don't think I'll be using this for anything where I would need the sources to be combined, which is weird because that's exactly what a mixer is supposed to be for, right? But this complication, this button here, is the problem. It in another audio interface, you can have it up going to the main mix, but you're still able to hear it, which is what you want. And when you press on phone, press down and set it to phone, it means that it's only going to your headphones, but it's not being recorded. So you want that flexibility. But in this case, it's like either or. It goes to the main mix or to the phones. And so again, I have to stress it. If it's going to the main mix, you are not able to hear it. And that's a very important feature, which I think this mixer is not able to do. And that's my review for the AGE03. It's this device. Okay, so thank you. That's my review for the AGE03. Thanks for watching. Bye.